Christmas tree is one of the most important symbols of our Christmas today. We'll start out with some gift boxes, and they're just perfect for concealing small treasures under the tree. Then after Christmas is over, quilting supplies can be stored in it. There are so many things to do to get ready for Christmas. You can make this box out of any of the blocks from the Bears in the Woods quilt, but this one is made with the Flying Geese blocks from the full-size quilt. Now for each side, you need to have 2 geese or a total of 8. Now if you'd like to use the smaller geese, you need to have 8 geese per block or a total of 32. Or if you'd like, you can use the log cabin blocks, the bear's paw blocks, or I'm using the tree block, and I really like it. With the green tree and that red background fabric, you need to have 4 blocks per block. Plus, in addition, you can just have some plain fabric, same size, one for the top and one for the bottom. And these are both 6.5 inches square. Now it's tricky whenever you're planning the box, particularly with this one because it has a top and a bottom to it. So plan the placement so that it looks like this. This is the bottom of the box. The trunks are going to go right to that bottom of the box. So I'm just going to take this piece, flip it right sides together, put a pin in there just to hold it in place, then flip this one back, get that pin right along the trunk. The seam allowance is 1/4 inch, 15 stitches to the inch, and in an afternoon you should be able to get a couple of these done. You might even have some extra blocks from your quilt too. Now just line that up along the outside edge, take that pin out, match it over here, zoom that along, back stitch if you want, boy if you're in a hurry, and then just turn it around to the second side and flip it back and sew it right along there. Now it's a lot of fun to make plans just who's going to get these boxes. Well, for this one, particularly with the tree, you might want to give this to a friend who enjoys gardening. Oh, you could probably stuff seeds in there. Ooh, how about some bulbs for spring? That would be perfect inside this box. Okay, now once you have the 2 blocks sewn to the bottom, then you just really need to take it to your iron and press that seam so that it goes in towards the bottom of the box. Take the second one, flip this like so, press it flat. It's looking good already. Okay, now take this and place the 2 remaining blocks right sides together, and this time you do need to be a little careful with your placement. Make sure you plan that seam allowance right here and right here, because whenever we put the lining to it, then you want to make sure you go right around that corner. This one right here, and then the one will go right in the opposite side. Let me just sew this one and then I'll show you. Now what about your quilting friend? Oh, she'd probably love to have maybe a box full of buttons, a box full of, maybe a sample thimble. Fat quarters. Those are good for everybody. Everybody loves fabric if they quilt. Okay, now this is what it's going to look like right in the corners. It has a little bit of an overlap here, you can see. And then this particular tree is going to go right like this. And then to finish it off, all you need to do is add this one piece to the top so that you have all 6 of these squares sewn together. Now I already have the lining set to go to, and it's very similar in shape. It has exactly the same piece, same size square, 6 of them, all the same fabric. And all I'm going to do now is just flip these pieces right sides together, and I'll sew the whole way around the box, but leave just one side right here open so that I can just clip the corners and then turn it right side out through this hole. Let me just get that sewing done. To finish this box, you need to have 6 pieces of heavy cardboard. They were cut 5 3/4 inches square. And in addition, you need to have some fleece cut the same size. Now you can use fusible fleece or just regular fleece. If you have fusible fleece, all you need to do before you turn it right side out is just fuse it to the wrong side of the block. I fused it on all 6 of these. Now if you just have regular fleece, you do need to have a glue stick, and you should just go ahead and apply the glue stick to the cardboard and then adhere that fleece. Well, once these are ready to go, then you start inserting the cardboard. It's just like a puzzle because you have to insert to the outside edges. Now through this hole, I inserted the 3 sides right here and then the bottom. Well, I also have a piece of cardboard up here in the top. This is the last side to go. So just slip that cardboard right in there, and once that's finished, then take these 2 raw edges and fold them so that they meet, and then just slip stitch these together. Well, it's looking like a box. Well, I'd like to actually take this box, fold these sides up, and then I'm going to use a needle and a thread, just a double thread and a strand. Let's see if I can go ahead and at least get one of the corners anchored together. I'll just sew from the top down into the corners using a slip stitch that I can hide in there. Let's just take it, flip that up there, and see how this is looking. All right, looking great. Whoops, can't keep it together. Or it's take some narrow ribbon and then run it right through the 2 corners so that it can be tied into a bow, just like this. Oh, let me see if I can tie it upside down. And then to finish it off, just slip a piece of ribbon right through the lid, down around, sew a button right here so that you can use it as a closure, and you'll have a great box you can fill with treasures for the holidays. I was given a plastic bag stuffer for a birthday present, and it turned out to be one of my favorite gifts. Now, up on this end, there is a drawstring. When you come home from the grocery store, you just shove all of your bags right in there, and I actually hang the drawstring over a hook in my kitchen. And then the second side has an elastic end to it. So when you're ready to reuse your plastic bags, you just pull them out of there, and it is just a great gift to make. It's easy to do. You need to have 1 piece of fabric. Now, the length of this is 26 inches. The width is 20.5 inches. And there are casings on both ends of it. Now, on the one end, this is where we're going to draw the drawstring through. Fold 1/4 inch piece down, and then do a second fold 1 inch down. And then on the opposite side, repeat it for the elastic. But then just go ahead and edge stitch it along there. So that's most of the sewing right there. Now take a second piece. Oh, for some decoration, you might want to do some flying geese. Now these are actually 13 geese from the miniature size wall hanging technique that I showed you. Now this starts out with a 4.5 inch medium or dark square and a 6 inch light background square. To make all of these geese, you need to have 13 of them. And then once you have them sewn together, make some piping or buy some piping. This just came from a 1.5 inch bias strip. A small piece of cord was sewn in there. Got to use a zipper foot to get that in. Sew it on both sides, and then take it and turn under those edges and place it on this piece approximately 6 inches up from the drawstring. Oh, I've got to get that centered. But actually, all I'm going to do is just pin it in place. But you would go ahead and edge stitch it right along that piping edge. Okay, let's just put this in here. Go on with the next step. Now, you need to have elastic for the bottom, at least a 6 inch piece. And I used my ballpoint bodkin from my applique technique. Perfect for just threading that elastic through. And then all you do is insert the ballpoint bodkin into the casing. Oh, let's see. Get that started there. Now this is the part that always goes, whoops, I pulled it right through there. But as you get up towards that end of the elastic, just go ahead and hold it and just anchor that down. Let me step on the gas here. Cross, do a back stitch on it, and then just continue pulling that bodkin through. You know, you can actually use the bodkin to pull that heavy cording through as well if you just go ahead and pin that cording onto the end of the bodkin. Oh, let's see. Hold your tongue just right. Out through. Okay, so now, once you have that on the opposite end, go ahead and anchor it one more time just to hold that in place. Should be at least 6 inches in there just to fit so it has a nice hole for your plastic bags to come out. Okay, now cut that off, and the last step is just to fold this whole piece right sides together, match it up down here, and sew up this side until you're approximately 4 inches from the end. And then all you need to do is just fold this end under, edge stitch that, and then it'll just work great. Perfect gift for your quilting friends. The mantel cover can also be used to cover a long, narrow table at Christmas. Now, it's made from 2 different blocks, the 6.5-inch log cabin block and the small geese block used in the miniature bears in the woods quilt. Now, there's a number of different calculations you need to know, so let's go through them. First of all, you need to measure your mantel top and find out how long it is, and ours is 65 inches. The next thing you need to know is the measurement across the center of the log cabin block. So just take your ruler, placed across here, it's actually 9 inches. We need to reduce it by the seam allowance, so the figure we need to work with is 8.5 inches. Okay, how about some math? Let's start with 65 inches divided by 8.5, and we're actually going to come up with 7.64. So it doesn't actually go off the end of the mantel. Let's just reduce that number to 7 log cabin blocks, and that's what I made to go across the whole length of the mantel. Now, you need to have some squares cut into 4s so that they can fit in all of these empty spots. So I took 2 10-inch squares and actually cut them into 4s on both diagonals. That way your bias is on the inside, it's on the straight of the grain right out here, and those pieces are actually going to fit right in here like this the whole way along. You're going to have 2 extra ones, so it'll be just great. Let me put those in position so you can see those. Okay, and then you have one other square that you need as well, and that's for right down here in the corner. That square is a 5.5-inch square. You only need to have one of them. Cut it in half on the diagonal, and that's going to fit right in this spot. Let me turn that around so I can get it in there. Once again, the bias is right along here. It'll be the straight of the grain in this position. All right, so go ahead, sew all those log cabins together into one long strip and find out the measurement of that. This actually measures 60 inches when it's all sewn together. So let's just remember 60 inches because we have to figure out how many flying geese we're going to fit into it. They actually end up at 1.5. So let's just go ahead and find out that we need to have 40 geese. So let's just review those geese. This is how you do it. You start out with a 4.5-inch square and a 6-inch background square. Draw on a diagonal line, sew on both sides of that diagonal line, and then whenever you cut it apart and open it up, you have this piece that looks like this. I showed you on the larger size Bears in the Woods quilt. Well, then you take these 2 pieces and put them right sides together and open them up. When you sew down diagonal lines on both sides and open them up, that's what you've got, enough for 2 geese out of each one of those pieces. So they actually are squared up to 2 inches by 3.5 inches. And I have just this little ruler right here that I have 2 inches by 3.5. I drew that 1/4-inch line across the top, and then the geese come right up in there. But this is that square up for flying geese. It works so great. So let's just trim up across here, and then you literally need to take it and turn it and drop your diagonal lines. Whoops, let's get those back on there because we're going to have another trim along here, and that'll be it. Now, the measurement of this is to it this time, but when you take away your seam allowance, it's only 1.5. So you're going to go ahead, so all 40 of those flying geese together, just put it up in your mantle and check it, make sure you have it all working out. Then you need to know the depth of your mantle, and I've actually cut an 11-inch depth that I'm going to sew the whole way across the bottom, across the top. Then just do a quick turn. It's pretty easy to do. It's almost like that box I showed you. So do a quick turn, add some tassels at the end, and you'll have a wonderful decoration on your mantle. You can take single blocks and turn them into pillows for decorating or gift giving. Now I'm making a sawtooth edge to just finish off one of the blocks, and this is how you do it. Take 3-inch squares or 4-inch squares if you'd like a larger one, and fold it in half and press it on one diagonal, right sides out, and then fold it one more time so that you actually have a point for the prairie point right here. And then as you're sewing, you need approximately 7 of these per side. Stitch along until you're about halfway through the previous one. Just open it up and insert the new one. Just hold that down. Let's see if I can get it. Keep on sewing about halfway through. Lift it up and then insert the next one. Ooh, let me get a hold of that. Gosh, hold on to it tight. Okay, and make 4 different sides. 7 in each, 8 in each. You might need to have 8 if you add a border. But then place it alongside your pillow like this, right along the top. Match the outside edges. You should have it so that it doesn't go quite out through the outside. And then the next piece that you add on will go in right like this, so that when you flip out, this is what it looks like on the corners. You have this straight line going right across there. Well, this is great for a country look. How about a more elegant look? You might want to go ahead and get some cording as this. This block has a border added around the outside edge, heavy cording going around next. Now cut 4 pieces of cording, the same size as the block plus an extra inch. And then you add your cording just like you add borders on 2 opposite sides first. And as you get out here to the opposite side, to the end of it, you leave that seam open. Whatever width this is, whatever your seam is, then you leave that open on the end. And this is really a wide cording. You can see that going along there. That was stitched with a zipper foot. Now, do that on both sides. Leave it open like that. Then take the remaining side, lift this up right here, and insert that in there, and then drop it back. It looks like it's going to be quite heavy along there, but it works wonderful. Okay, just sew that along there with your zipper foot, and then you need to add your backing. 2 separate pieces so you can insert a commercial pillow form. Okay, now take this piece like this, put it right in here, and it's cut the length of the block, plus you're going to have an overlap in the middle. You want to have about a 2-inch, a 3-inch overlap for here. Take the second side, place it right sides together to the pillow, got that overlap in the center, and then you just sew around the outside edge. Now the corners look great on it. You can see how it's indented perfectly right along here. And if you would like, you could go ahead and make it very elegant just by taking a tassel. Oh, this gold one is great. Sewing that right into the corner like this. And for a really bright festive finish, go ahead and add some beads, some glass beads, some gold or silver beads, whatever, for that light festive touch. Both the wall hanging and the full-size Bears in the Woods quilts are finished now, and they have such a great country feel to them. Ooh, I just love the 12 log cabin blocks in the center, the 20 tree blocks, the 4 bear's paw blocks, and those 104 flying geese around the outside edge. Now finished, this is 64 inches square, but if you'd like to have it fit a queen size bed, all you need to do is add a 6-inch border on all 4 sides, and you'll just love the fit of it. It's nice to get away from the sewing machine just to create some other projects. Well, I'm making some candles for this tabletop tree. Now, they look really cute, but I don't think that these are the kind that I can burn. Now, they're easy to do. All you need to have are those tiny little wooden spools. And I wrap some yarn around it. You can wrap some string around it, whatever, and then just hot glue it in place and just cut those ends short. Now you need to have some little miniature clothespins that look like this. Actually, I think they'd be really cute if you took one of the bigger clothespins too. And just take your spool, glue it right on the top, and I think your quilting friends will just love this as well. Then take a birthday candle, cut off the end, and then you can just insert that right into the spool. Looks great in those red colors. And then you can just clip it right on your tabletop tree. Looks good. I think I'll leave them unlit though. Having so much fun with my apples. Lucky actually helped me dry, a whole bushel of apples she sliced. She sliced them 1/4 inch wide, and then she put them into some sugar water so that they wouldn't turn brown, and put them in her dehydrator for all night. And actually, you can do the very same thing with these apple slices if you just go ahead and put them in your oven on the rack and let them sit. Well, I found another use for my bodkin. I ran some jute right through here, and then all I'm going to do with this sharp end, overlap the apples and then push it through and string them together. I like this because it's going to give a nice light touch throughout the tree. There are a number of other things you can do with your apples as well. Well, I hope you enjoy creating these gifts and decorations. They're a symbol of friendship, warmth, and nostalgia. Next time, we'll create some stockings and we'll be decked for the holidays.